Axolotls are native to the Valley of Mexico and can only be found in the Lake Xochimilco region. In the past, they could also be found in Lake Chalco, but every acre of land in that area is now dry in order to prevent flooding, so these creatures had to migrate. They live entirely in the water. The waters of Lake Xochimilco are usually about 65 degrees Fahrenheit, which is right at the edge of the 60 to 65 degree comfort zone that these creatures prefer to live in. They can be found at the bottom of the lake surrounded by plants and rock structures in which to hide. Axolotls can have a variety of different color variations. Normal axolotls are an olive tan color with gold speckles, but there are genetic mutations that can cause different coloring. Leucistic axolotls display pale white or pink skin with black eyes. Albinos have vibrant gold skin and matching eyes. Axanthic types are gray with black eyes. And melanids are solid black with no other coloring. In addition to these natural mutations, exotic pet breeders will also intentionally crossbreed certain variants to produce new and interesting color combinations for novelty purposes. Male and female axolotls can grow to be up to 8 inches long, but the average size is typically around 9 inches. They can also weigh up to 8 ounces. They have wide, somewhat flat heads with lidless eyes and thin mouths that appear to be smiling. They both have 3 branch gills that protrude from either side of the head, and they retain their larval dorsal fin throughout their lives. In addition, their limbs are small and underdeveloped, and they feature long, slender digits that resemble fingers. The feature of the axolotl that attracts most attention is its healing ability. The axolotl does not heal by scarring and is capable of the regeneration of entire lost appendages in a period of months, and, in certain cases, more vital structures, such as tail, limb, central nervous system, and tissues of the eye and heart. They can even restore less vital parts of their brains. The way an axolotl regrows a limb begins with the limb's surviving cells. Once the limb has been severed or lost, a blood clot rapidly stops the bleeding at the cut. Then, over the next few days, the cells underneath the epidermis begin to rapidly divide, forming a cone-shaped structure known as a blastema, also called the regeneration bud. It's where regular bone, cartilage, or muscle cells to differentiate, meaning they lose their identity and transform back into stem cells. Slowly they start reforming bone, skin, and veins. As the cells in the blastema continue to divide, nerves and blood vessels connect it to the rest of the body. The limb eventually grows back completely, looking like an exact copy of the limb that was lost. One of the most fascinating aspects of axolotl is their ability to remain in their larval form throughout their lives. This phenomenon is known as neoteny, is a rare occurrence among amphibians. Neotenic salamanders, like the axolotl, retain their gills and aquatic lifestyle even as they reach sexual maturity, but when axolotls are exposed to stressful situations in their environment, such as sudden temperature changes or water pollution, they may undergo a process of metamorphosis. In other words, they lose their juvenile characteristics and take on salamander-like characteristics to survive in these environments and out of the water. During this physiological transformation, the animal changes its heart from 2 to 3 chambers and its respiratory system matures its lungs to breathe outside the water. They also lose their dorsal fin, which becomes more similar to a tail. They also lose their characteristic external gills, and the color of their skin becomes darker. In other words, they end up looking very similar to an adult salamander or lizard. This incredible process of metamorphosis is based on a chemical process driven by certain hormones, such as thyroxine. Thyroxine is a type of thyroid hormone that is secreted by the follicular cells of the thyroid gland. Axolotls have lower levels of these hormones compared to their close terrestrial relatives, which would explain why they do not achieve complete metamorphosis under normal conditions. One of the hypotheses for this characteristic is that it was not necessary for the axolotl to leave the water, like frogs or salamanders, because of the conditions of its habitat. In other words, the aquatic environment provided it with the ideal conditions for survival and reproduction.